قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this live episode of Ask Zad, which is the first after the break of the Eid holiday, the Eid al-Adha. Coming to you live every Saturday, hopefully, between Maghrib and Isha, Mecca region time. As usual, we will take 3 questions from your emails, then we will take your direct calls, insha'Allah azza wa jal. The first question is, if I join the Imam while he's reciting Fatiha, should I say the dua of al-istiftah while he's reciting it? Dua al-istiftah, the inaugurational dua, which usually follows Allahu Akbar, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك تبارك اسمك تعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك, or اللهم باعد بيني وبين خطاياي كما باعدت بين المشرق والمغرب, etc. This is a confirmed sunnah for every prayer other than the funeral prayer, of course. And it is recommended for you to recite it if there is enough time. But if you came late and the Imam is reciting his Fatiha, it's an issue of dispute. I'm inclined to the opinion that says you should not recite it. You just join the congregation by saying Allahu Akbar and listen to the Fatiha. Because it is not permissible for you to recite the Fatiha while the Imam is reciting his Fatiha. And the Fatiha is a pillar. Therefore, what's lesser than a pillar, which is a recommended sunnah, would be by default not permissible to recite either. If the Imam pauses between the Fatiha and the following surah, like so many Imams do, though this is not from the sunnah, and it is wrong for the Imam, after saying غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ Ameen, he pauses for like 10, 12 seconds, giving the people behind him a chance to recite the Fatiha. This is wrong. This is not from the Sunnah. The Prophet never paused this much. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But if your Imam had done this, in this case, if you think that the time is sufficient for you to read the inaugurational dua, dua al-istiftah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم al-Fatiha, then go ahead and do it, and that's okay, insha'Allah azza wa jal. The second question is from Minhaj. He says, can we actually see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in dreams? What should we do in order to have this privilege? The hadith is authentic. The Prophet said, alayhi sallam, whoever sees me in his dreams, he has seen me for real. And the scholars gave different interpretation. One famous interpretation was that this was addressing the companions who did not migrate nor were privileged to meet the Prophet ﷺ at his time. So this was like giving them a glad tiding and saying to them, listen, if you see me in your dreams, this means that you will migrate and meet me in the flesh, in person. Another interpretation was that this was addressing the companions whom the Prophet ﷺ was with. So he was with them, they recognize him. So he told them that if you see me in your dreams and I say something to you, then this is a true reality because you recognize me, you know me, Shaitan cannot impersonate me. So whatever I say to you in the dream, that's legit, that's real, because that was me. And both opinions are not that strong. The third opinion, which a lot of the Salaf used to embrace, was that whoever sees the Prophet ﷺ in his dreams, while succeeding in describing him as he was described in the seerah, then he had seen the Prophet ﷺ, because Satan cannot impersonate him. From this, we understand that when someone comes to us and says, "Oh Sheikh, I saw the Prophet ﷺ and he had a big afro," said, that wasn't the Prophet. Or I saw the Prophet ﷺ, he was like 4 or 5 foot tall and he had Chinese Asian facial features. Said, that wasn't the Prophet ﷺ. If someone says, "I saw the Prophet ﷺ, but all what I saw was light. I could not see how he looked like. Or I saw a tall man, or I saw someone wearing jeans." This was not the Prophet ﷺ. You have to describe him as he was described in the authentic Sunnah. And he said finally, what should we do in order to have this privilege? There isn't anything you can do. Nobody knows what to be done. The more you love the Prophet ﷺ, the more you follow his Sunnah. And the more you follow his Sunnah, the more you are actually visualizing him. You see, when we pray and we put our right hand over the left on the chest, because we remember the hadith of Wa'il ibn Hujr, that this is how the Prophet used to pray, alayhi salatu wasalam. So we envision this. We can see it. And this beats 1,000 times more than seeing him in a dream. Because we don't have a lot of emphasis or importance over dreams in Islam. So if you see him, that's great. Does it mean that you will never go to hell? No. Does it mean you're a companion? Not at all. Is it a glad tiding? Hopefully. It depends on what you do in your day-to-day life. If you see the Prophet ﷺ in your dreams, but you're not complying with his Sunnah, and you're far away from practicing Islam, this doesn't add anything to you, and Allah knows best. Finally, can I make multiple Umrah in one trip for my deceased parents? First of all, the question is divided into 2 types. What's the ruling on repeating the Umrah? And what's the gap between them? And doing more than one Umrah in one trip. Beginning with the second question, doing more than one Umrah in the same journey was never done by the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. And they knew better. So the Prophet only performed one Umrah in one trip, though he stayed in one of his journeys for 19 days in Mecca. So he could have done multiple Umrahs for Mother Khadija, for Hamza, his uncle, for anyone of his loved ones, but he didn't. As for the gap between Umrahs, there isn't any gap mentioned. So if a person would like to perform Umrah frequently, he's in compliance with the Sunnah. The Prophet said that, alayhi salatu wasalam. Repeat continuously between Hajj and Umrah, because they purify you from sins and poverty, like the bellows purify the gold and the iron, etc., from the impurities in it. But what's the ruling on someone who comes from overseas, pays a lot of money, difficult to get a visa, someone who came from India or from Japan or from Europe, and it's not easy for him to come frequently, maybe once every 5 to 10 years. And he would like to perform Umrah for his loved ones, his deceased father, his deceased grandmother, his siblings, etc., who could not make it. In this case, there is no problem, inshallah, in performing multiple umrahs while following the right process, which is performing umrah, then cutting short your hair, you wear your new ihram, go to Masjid al-Tan'im or Masjid Aisha or to the area of the Hill, make your ihram from there and come and make another umrah due to the difficulty of performing it regularly. But those like us who live within the vicinity of the haram or nearby or can frequently come every month, they should only perform one umrah, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Farouk from Qatar.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamatullah.
We know that the companion of the Quran will be told to recite and ascend as you recited in the world. So if someone memorized the 10 qira'at, then will they ascend till the same level as someone who memorized only one qira'ah, such as Hafs and Asim?
This is something only Allah Azza wa Jal can answer it. I have no knowledge of it, and we don't have any proof from the Quran or from the Sunnah that states that they differ. It states that recite and ascend as you used to recite in the dunya. For your last level is at the last ayah. So if the guy memorizes the whole Quran, then his last level would be the full and the top. Not necessarily in different qira'at that he would be higher or not. This is something only in Allah's knowledge, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Ahmed from Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamatullah.
Can we say that Allah is beyond time and time does not exist for Allah?
I don't understand.
Can we say that Allah is beyond that time? Is it correct to say that?
Allah is what?
Beyond the time.
Of course, Allah Azza wa Jal is the creator of time. So time does not bound Allah, bound Allah Azza wa Jal subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why one of Allah's beautiful names is the first and the last. Al-awwal wal-akhir. So he is the first without a beginning, and he's the last without an end. Therefore, time does not restrict Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it is one of his creation, and Allah knows best. Sadiqa from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is about reciting Surah Al-Kahf at the Friday. I heard from a guy that the time began of reciting Surah Al-Kahf on Thursday after the sun set, and it ends on Friday after the Zuma prayer. And somewhere else I read that the time ends on Friday after the sunset. Now I want to know from when to when, if I recite Surah Al-Kahf, it will count as I'm reciting at the Friday and I will get the reward as the hadith says so.
This is an issue of dispute, as you've mentioned, and the most authentic opinion is that the time to recite Surah Al-Kahf is from the break of dawn of Friday till the sunset of the same day of Friday, and not from the sunset of Thursday, though the sunset of Thursday inaugurates the beginning of the day of Friday. However, there is nighttime and daytime. So the surah of Surah Al-Kahf is recommended, and we're instructed to recite it on the day of Friday, not on the night of Friday. So you can begin reciting it from the break of dawn, from Fajr time of Friday till the sunset of Friday, and Allah knows best. Tanweer from India.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I want to know whether my income will be haram or I am committing a sin in this regard. I am a railway employee. My job is to inspect the railway track 1 kilometer every day, 6 days a week. So I go and inspect more than 1 kilometer, like 2 kilometer on that day, and submit inspection report uh, that I have inspected only 1 kilometer. Then next day I don't go for work but stay at my home, and at the end of the day I submit inspection report of another 1 kilometer which I have inspected yesterday. The work is a teamwork of 6 members in our team, and I am only the Muslim and all others are Hindus. They all insist on such practice, and only I cannot do the inspection by myself as it is a teamwork. So whether my income will be haram or am I sinful for not going daily to my work?
So if I understand you correctly, your job is to inspect 1 kilometer of the river?
No, sir, railway track.
Okay, so this has an impact because every day it changes. So if you inspect 2 kilometers one day and skip the following day, the readings and the measurements are not accurate. And this is considered to be cheating. Now you say that this is a team effort, meaning that this kilometer you cannot cover on your own. You need your team members to be with you, but they do not show for the following day. In this case, you have to approach your supervisor and officially write a letter to him, CCing his boss or whoever, so that you clear your conscience that I've done my best, that this is what is happening, and I cannot work the following day alone because my team members will not be joining me. If they both say that this is okay, this is the norm, we have no problem with that, you've done your due diligence and there is no sin on you, insha'Allah. Namira from Georgia.
I would like to know that since at the end of a woman's menses, like before the end of time for every prayer, we are supposed to check. So how much time, like would 15 minutes before the end of each prayer be enough, like to check whether we are pure or not, or like should it be less or more?
There isn't any period given or prescribed in Islam. So we are not told in the Quran or in the Sunnah you should go 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe half an hour, maybe 1 minute. We don't have this. This is something that women know by nature, by habit, by their environment, and they should do this accordingly. So don't exaggerate things and saying, no, I'm 1 minute late. No, it depends. Some women don't check unless they go and answer the call of nature. And some women, when they really see that there is almost no discharge, colored discharge, that this is almost their purity time, they would go before the end of Dhuhr prayer time by 10, 15, 20 minutes, enough time for them to have a ghusl and to pray it before the end of time. So there isn't any specific prescribed timing for that, and Allah knows best. Mustafa from Canada.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hayyak Allah.
Wa
Sheikh,
hayyak.
I just wanted to have some advice for me and all the Muslims in regard to this issue. Sometimes I feel like nervous and anxious many times when it comes to enjoining good and forbidding evil. Like I feel that people will think I'm weird, or like I just get an anxious feeling that they will look at me weird, and I feel like a little bit strange. So please advise. Barakallahu feeka. Wassalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear friend, on earth, we are here for the sole purpose of worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, who says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created the jinn and the humans except to worship me. And part of the worshiping process is to be tested. So everything you face on earth is a test from Allah. Wealth, you're a lucky man. It's a test. Poverty, the poor thing, it's a test. Health is a test. Illness is a test. Safety is a test. Insecurity is a test. So everything you face on earth is a test. Part of the tests that we face and encounter is fulfilling our obligations and responsibilities to Islam and to others. So part of my test is to be kind and good to my wife and children. Part of my test is to enforce virtue, to enjoin virtue, and to forbid and prevent evil and vice. Now, during our tests, there is an enemy of ours lurking and waiting for the right moment to strike. The Prophet told us, ﷺ, that he runs in our veins like blood does. And he would definitely not want us to execute whatever we commanded to do. So when you want to pray, you get this inner feeling that, oh, I'm lazy, it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too early, I feel sleepy. When you want to recite the Quran, you just close it because I can't concentrate. When you want to give in charity, he tells you your money would be less and you won't be able to buy this or to secure this, and we are in difficult times. Who's doing this? Shaitan. It's your enemy, Satan, the devil. Now, when it comes to enjoining virtue, he always intimidates you. So you see something that is haram. You want to tell people that, akhi, this is haram, if they're Muslims. And maybe they're relatives, maybe they're loved ones, maybe they're total strangers. He tells you that they will not like it, they will resent it, they will think of you as an extremist, they would label you as a terrorist. Maybe they'll call the cops against you. Maybe they will lie about it. So he intimidates you. So you back down and you don't, or you back off, you don't do anything. And this is from Shaitan. Always estimate and weigh the pros and cons. You're not the religious police. So always put in mind that after you hear this motivational speech, you don't go to the masjid and you meet 200 brothers and said, akhi, your beard is shaven, your trousers are below your ankles, you smell like you're smoking. I saw your wife the other day, she wasn't wearing the hijab. You invest in haram stocks. What is this? You keep on talking to people like this, they'll kick you out of the masjid. No, you have to be knowledgeable, wise, diplomatic. You know when to select the right time to address a particular issue, not every single issue in the whole world. Otherwise, this would help Shaitan stop you from practicing and giving da'wah. So how to do all of this? This requires a lecture, but in a nutshell, learn your religion. The more knowledge you have, the more knowledge of the way of the Prophet ﷺ in giving da'wah, the more knowledge you have how the companions used to behave, the tabi'een and the salaf, the more diplomatic you become, the more tolerant you become, and you would succeed in conveying the message in a very beautiful and articulate way that everybody accepts. Don't be intimidated. This is shaitan. But don't jump the gun. Just don't go and give da'wah and forbid evil and do this and do that and hit right, left, and center and end up losing the whole battle and the whole war. No, be diplomatic, think of the consequences of your action. Is it the right time, or should I delay a couple of weeks and then speak about it? Should I put it all on the table, or should I select the priorities and know what to address and what to ignore temporarily for now and then address it later? Should it be directly face-to-face in front of others, or one-to-one, or should I write a message or an email? All of these come with knowledge, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah, we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no one's wealth helped me as much as the wealth of Abu Bakr helped me. After which Abu Bakr began to weep and say, and is my life and wealth for anything besides you, O Messenger of Allah? This narration shows the level of etiquette and humbleness that Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, had in the presence of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For he likened himself to a slave of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by saying that his wealth was only for the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as his soul and self. This comes as no surprise, for the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has more right on the believers than themselves. He, may Allah be pleased with him, spent his wealth in the cause of Allah, and he consoled the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through his own self. So the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam recognized that for him and said, in order to build his stature and to remind the ummah of his virtues, no one's wealth helped me as much as the wealth of Abu Bakr helped me. Among the benefits of this narration, it is important to keep good manners and humbleness in the presence of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thanking someone who has bestowed some favor on you, as well as supplicating for them, is part of having good manners. Reported by Al-Bukhari, reported by Al-Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah. Albani ruled it authentic in his book Sahih Al-Jami', the explanation of As-Sindi on the book of Ibn Majah, and At-Taysir Bisharh Al-Jami' As-Saghir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. We have Brother Muhammad from the Philippines. Brother Muhammad. Okay, Sumaya from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I came to Makkah for Hajj. I want to know which place would bring me more rewards for praying obligatory prayers. Is it Haram or my hotel room?
The Prophet ﷺ told us that praying in your home, which is at the moment your hotel room, is more rewarding than praying in the haram. Now, logically, most women and men would think that, come on, the Prophet said a prayer in the haram is equivalent to 100,000. And you want me to pray in my hotel room? I said, I don't want you to pray in your hotel room. This is what the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, to one of his female companions who said, O Prophet of Allah, I love to pray with you in the masjid of Medina, where the single prayer there is equivalent to 1,000 prayers elsewhere other than Mecca, in the Masjid al-Haram. So the Prophet said, I know you love to pray with me, but praying home is better than praying with me in the masjid. And that the Prophet continued to emphasize this fact in a long hadith. Praying home is better. So it depends. You want the reward, pray in your hotel room. You don't feel like praying in your hotel room, you want to pray in the masjid, be my guest. The Prophet did not prevent it, alayhi salatu wasalam. He simply directed us to what is more rewarding and better. You want to choose that? Welcome. If you don't, this is up to you. You haven't done a sin, inshallah. So do we have Brother Muhammad on the line? Muhammad from the Philippines? Okay, Sam from Canada? Sam?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you, Sheikh?
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. I'm fine. Jazakallah khair for asking.
So Sheikh, people who live in countries like Canada or America and they want to get a house, what's the halal way of getting a house? Like, what's the process that should be taken to ensure that there isn't any haram to it?
Okay, the question is very straightforward, and the answer would be very straightforward. If you can buy a house without any haram being involved, such as mortgage or interest-based loans, be my guest. Now, what or how to do that, I have no idea. And as I said so many times, it is not an essential part of our lives to own a property. In Islam, you are instructed in order to worship Allah Azza wa Jal, not to own a house or a car or to have a job or to do all of these things, though they are mighty fine. But if I cannot obtain this chance, if I cannot possess a house without being involved in riba, definitely this is not permissible. If I cannot finish my bachelor degree or uni degree without getting student loan, which is riba-based, interest-based, this is not permissible. Okay, Sheikh, how can I get a job? This is not my problem. For you to work as a janitor and get peanuts is more honorable than to get a student loan and be a neurosurgeon or a rocket scientist. Why? Because this is what Islam tells you. Islam tells you avoid haram. It doesn't tell you not to go to uni. It doesn't tell you not to buy a house. It tells you simply avoid haram, full stop. Is there any difficulty in that? Yes. To those who do not process the thought of living in a rented apartment for the rest of their lives, they can't get this down their throat easily. I've said this so many times. I, with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal, still live in a rented house. And I pay rent for my second family, so I pay rent for 2 families. And I have no problem. I have no property. I don't own a property or I don't own a house. And I'm living a happy life. One says, okay, Sheikh, your beard is gray and you're about to die. True. What will your children do? Who cares? I did my level best to provide for them a good life, within the boundaries of Sharia. It was not me who took care of me when my father died when I was 14 or 15 years of age. It was Allah. So likewise, Allah will take care of my family. Allah will not let them alone. So Sheikh, but you have to do this. I don't have to do anything, akhi. If I had money, I would have bought a house, or I would have bought a property or a plot, but I don't. So am I going to go to haram, maybe sell a fatwa here or there and make lots of bucks, or borrow with riba? No, I'm not going to do that. Life is too short. And the grave is scary. You don't want to spend time there being burnt and tormented. You want it to be all like fragrances and flowers and blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is your test, my friend. And you have all the right to choose your course of action. Fawzan from Indonesia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah barakatuh.
Sheikh, when I went to my mosque, I found out that the Imam was already in his ruku, so I hurried to join the row, made my takbiratul ihram. But then when I was going to my ruku position, I heard the Imam said, Sami Allah liman hamidah. So this made me doubtful whether I get the ruku of Imam or not. In this doubtfulness, should I add one raka'ah and do sujood sahwi after my salam or not?
Okay, so Fawzan's question happens to all of us. We enter the masjid, everybody's in the ruku' position, we stay or stand in the row, we say Allahu Akbar. As we're going down, we say Sami Allahu liman hamidah. Now I know that the Imam says Sami Allahu liman hamidah as he's rising, which means I'm not that sure whether the Imam and I were in the ruku' position or I was going down and he was going up. Why? Number one, if I am certain that when the Imam was in his ruku' and I said Allahu Akbar, and as I was going down, I'm certain that he raised his head and I could not catch the rak'ah. In this case, definitely I have to perform an extra rak'ah. Possibility two, I said Allahu Akbar and I bowed, I did ruku', and I'm 100% certain that I and the Imam were in the ruku' position at least for a second. And then the Imam said, Sami Allahu liman hamidah. Then my rak'ah is valid and I don't have to add anything. Third scenario. I said Allahu Akbar. As I was going down, the Imam said, Sami Allahu liman hamidah. Now I'm in doubt. Did I catch him in the ruku' position or not? I'm not sure. I'm not certain. Am I inclined to one of the two opinions? If the answer is yes, I'm inclined that I didn't catch him. Or I'm inclined to that I did catch him. But there is no certainty in both ways. In this case, I have to act upon my inclination and offer sujood as-sahw afterwards if I had missed more than one rak'ah. If I didn't miss any rak'ahs and I'm inclined that I caught it with him, I don't have to offer any sujood as-sahw. If I'm doubtful, I'm in a limbo, 50-50, can't tell. In this case, benefit of the doubt, I have to assume that I did not offer ruku' with him and add a rak'ah afterwards. And after salam, I also add two sujood of forgetfulness or sujood as-sahw, and Allah knows best. Asif from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
My question is, praying in Masjid al-Haram brings 100,000 rewards. But is this reward for obligatory prayer or any voluntary prayer?
It is for all, Asif Bhai. Any prayer you pray in the Masjid al-Haram, it is multiplied, it's better than 100,000 elsewhere. Whether it's a fard, or it's a sunnah, or it's your witr, or it's your night prayer, it's all the same in the reward, and Allah knows best. Adil from India. Adil.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, can we use water which has been mixed with chlorine or other chemicals for wudu and ghusl? If not, can we do tayammum or do we must use drinking water? Jazakallahu khairan.
Repeat your question and speak a little bit slower, please.
Can we use water which has been mixed with chlorine or other chemicals for wudu and ghusl? If not, can we do tayammum or do we must use drinking water for wudu and ghusl? Jazakallahu khairan.
This water is used in swimming pools, for example?
No, Sheikh, in tabs.
Okay. Tap water is usually mixed with a little amount of chlorine so that it would kill germs in it. Now, if I have a mug of tap water and I smell it, and I can smell some chlorine in it, would I identify it as water or a different liquid? The answer would be water. Therefore, as long as it carries the label water, I can perform ghusl with it, I can perform wudu with it, and in some cases, if it's medically safe, I can even drink it. There's no problem in that. The problem is when the liquid changes its label and name and nature. So this mug, if I bring a tea bag and I soak it in it and I throw it away, what is this liquid? Is it water? The answer is no. This is tea. This, I cannot use it for ghusl or for performing wudu. So the end product is what counts. If I have this mug with some flour in it, because they used to use it with dough and the like, and there is some flour, so it's murky with some flour in it. But the end result, it's water with some mud, with some flour, with some rust in it. But it's water. You can use that for wudu and ghusl. And I hope this answers your question. Sidi from Germany.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm doing well, alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, there are videos where people are possessed by jinns and they go to a raqi and the raqi is reciting Quran and these people, they are screaming and they make like these movements and then the raqi is like making conversation with the jinn. Is this permissible to watch this video or should we avoid that?
No, you should avoid that because in many of such videos, these are made up and they're acting. And some of these videos are real, but you cannot tell which is right and which is wrong. Talking to the jinn also involves a lot of wrong things, such as believing them. And we know that the jinn by default are liars. So when they say, yes, I possessed this person because there was a black magic made by his uncle, immediately you will accuse the uncle, but the jinn is a liar. He's doing this on purpose to cause fitna and problems. And some people tell me that in these videos, the raqi does karate or taekwondo or MMA and he grapples with the possessed people. What is this? Sometimes it's from the opposite gender. It's a woman, it's a girl, or so what? And this is all not halal. So akhi, stay away from this. I had counseling sessions with people thinking that they're possessed by jinn and their lives are destroyed. And when I talked to them, I discovered and convinced them that this was all bogus. It's in their subconscious. They saw such videos and their subconscious started playing games on them, and then they thought that they were possessed and they started acting like the videos they saw. And they said, Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, you might be right. So stay away from this because it's bad news. Sabira from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, can you please recite Tashahhud and Durud? Because I've heard I've heard Tashahhud being recited like this, At-Tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibat, and I've also heard it recited as Tayyibatu instead of Tayyibat. So I don't know which is right. So can you please recite Tashahhud and Durud?
Okay,
so
first
that I
of
know
all,
the-
Sabira, both of what you've mentioned was right. At-Tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibat, if I stop. But if I continue, At-Tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibatu salamu. At-Tayyibatu. So this is Arabic. The vowels at the end of the words, At-Tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibatu. It's all the same sequence. But because I stopped at At-Tayyibat, I say At-Tayyibatu, At-Tayyibat. Like Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alameen. What happens if I connect it with the verse afterwards? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki. Ar-Rahimi Maliki. I did not say Ar-Rahim. So one says, oh, this is wrong. No, it's not. This is Arabic language. When you stop, the vowel turns into what we call sukun. But if you continue, then you show what the vowel was, and Allah knows best. Fuad from Bangladesh. Fuad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Ahsanallahu ilaykum, Sheikh. How are you? So, Sheikh, my question is, if the Imam mistakenly stands for the fifth rakat during the congregation prayer, and we say Subhanallah, but he doesn't sit back down, what should the person praying behind him do? Jazakallah khairan.
Wa jazakum. So, a scenario. The Imam is praying 4 rak'ah prayers, such as Dhuhr. In the third rak'ah, after the second prostration, he says, Allahu Akbar. Instead of standing for the fourth, he sits for the third. And everybody says, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. And he continues. He's relentless. He doesn't want to listen. He thinks that I'm doing the right thing. Or the Imam, in the fourth rak'ah, after the second prostration, sajda, says Allahu Akbar. Instead of sitting for the tashahhud, the final tashahhud, he stands up for the fifth rak'ah. People say Subhanallah, Subhanallah, and he doesn't come down. He thinks that I'm doing the right thing. What to do? In both cases, the ma'moom, some scholars say, has to wait until the Imam finishes and rectifies. And some say that no, the Imam has committed an act which is distorting the nature of the prayer. So in the first scenario, he has abandoned a whole pillar, a whole unit, rak'ah, and he's not listening to the people behind him. What to do? You guys stand up and continue your fourth rak'ah and do your sujood, do your tashahhud, and conclude on your own, each one on his own. Intend to depart and leave your Imam. And in the second scenario, when he stood up for the fifth rak'ah, you guys remain sitting, do your tashahhud, and offer your salam and leave the prayer. Or if you wish, you can sit and wait until he finishes his fifth rak'ah and does his tashahhud and offer salam with him. But I wouldn't do that. Personally, I would just leave the prayer, and Allah knows best. Yasin from Bulgaria.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
My question is regarding accounting. I'm an accounting student, and soon I'll be going in the real world, where it's expected of me to account for a firm's transactions and or prepare documents. Today, Muslim and non-Muslim countries deal with banks and lenders alike, i.e. interest. As far as I know, I should not even witness such contracts when riba is concerned, let alone account for it. What should I do? Should I change my profession? I don't want to compromise my deen for anything.
Very good. As long as you know, this answers your problems. Yes, all scholars, our scholars, trusted scholars, Bin Baz, Bin Uthaymeen, the Permanent Committee of IFTA, they all say accounting jobs that includes registering, auditing, counting down interest, whether incoming or outgoing, is riba, and the one who's doing it is cursed. So yes, definitely change your major and look for something that is halal, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best, and may Allah make things easy for you and for all of us. This is all the time we have until we meet tomorrow Sunday at 4 o'clock. I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.